The first thing Professor Malcolm Voss said after I came back to life was, "Congratulations, every student in this room has a guaranteed internship." 29 people started clapping. I dropped my pen. It hit the floor beside my left shoe and rolled beneath the desk in front of me. For several seconds I didn't move. I knew this classroom. I knew the old radiator clicking behind me. I knew the thin scratch across the projector screen. I knew Vanessa Reed was sitting 3 seats to my right. Because she always arrived early enough to get a perfect view of Professor Voss. More importantly, I knew what happened after those words. I had heard them once before, 6 years before, or 6 years from now. I still didn't know which description made more sense. In the life I remembered, I had accepted Voss's internship with tears in my eyes. My mother had cried when I called her. I was the first person in our family to attend college. Hawthorne University cost more per year than my mother's daycare. Earned in profit, and even with scholarships I had spent 3 years calculating every grocery receipt like it was an exam. A paid internship with Northgate Civic Solutions had felt like a miracle. Professor Voss had promised academic credit, $24 an hour, professional references, and almost guaranteed placement after graduation. I had believed him. By graduation week, state investigators had interviewed almost everyone in that classroom. By June I had a lawyer. By August I had learned exactly how expensive the word misdemeanor could become. I lost the graduate program that had admitted me. I lost the consulting job I had signed before commencement. I lost friends who blamed me for not warning them earlier and other friends who blamed me for cooperating with investigators at all. Nathan left too. That part still hurt even though I knew now that the story I had told myself about him had never been completely true. Professor Voss clicked to the next slide. Northgate Civic Solutions appeared in white letters against a blue background. My stomach turned. "You were selected because this seminar represents the strongest cohort I've taught in 7 years, Voss said. Northgate has agreed to expand its internship class so every student who meets the onboarding requirements can participate." A hand went up. Mateo Ruiz. "Every student?" he asked. Voss smiled. "Every student." A murmur ran through the room. Mateo leaned back with a grin so wide I could see it from 2 rows away. In my first life, his mother had been facing eviction that fall. The internship money had saved their apartment. 2 years later, Mateo was still paying a criminal defense attorney. My hand started shaking. I pressed it flat against my notebook. I had gone to sleep the previous night at 27 years old. My petition to seal my criminal record had finally been approved after years of background checks, rejected apartments, awkward job interviews, and the humiliating experience of explaining the worst decision of my life to strangers who got to decide whether I deserved another chance. I had poured myself a glass of cheap red wine. I had sat beside my apartment window. I remembered thinking that I finally felt older than what happened to me. Then I fell asleep. I woke up 21. My phone said August 24. My Hawthorne student ID was back in my wallet, and Professor Voss was offering me the same internship that had destroyed my senior year. Ms. Bennett. The room had gone quiet. I looked up. Voss was watching me. "You look troubled." A few people laughed softly. My mouth was dry. In my first life I had thanked him. I had said Northgate was exactly what I needed. I had told him I would work harder than anybody else. This time I heard myself say, "I'm not interested." Silence, not shocked silence, confused silence, the kind that happens when somebody gives the wrong answer to an easy question. Voss lowered the remote. "I'm sorry. I said I'm not interested in Northgate." Vanessa turned completely around in her chair. Priya Desai, my roommate, stared at me from the desk beside mine. Her lips formed one silent word. "What?" Voss gave a short laugh. "That's certainly your choice, but perhaps you misunderstood. This isn't an unpaid placement." "I understand. $24 an hour. I know. Academic credit. I know. And you would be eligible for Northgate's priority recruitment program." I remembered that program too. The offer letter had arrived 2 weeks before. Investigators searched Northgate's offices. I had framed it. Later my lawyer put the frame face down on my kitchen table while we went through every email I had ever sent to Voss. "I'm declining," I said. Vanessa whispered. "Are you insane?" Voss heard her. He smiled again, although something behind his eyes changed. "Ms. Bennett has always been independent." The compliment sounded like a warning. He moved on. I barely heard the rest of the lecture. At the end of class, students crowded around his desk. Everyone wanted onboarding details. I packed slowly. Priya grabbed my wrist. "What just happened?" "Not here." "Maya, you have been talking about this internship since sophomore year." "I know. You told me if Voss offered you Northgate, you would legally marry the man." "I was joking." "You made a wedding registry." "I put printer ink on it." "That made it worse." Despite everything, I almost laughed. Priya had always been able to do that, even in my first life until February, until she withdrew from Hawthorne for one semester because investigators had seized her laptop and her father stopped speaking to her for 3 months. In that life, Priya had escaped charges because she quit Northgate early. I needed to make sure she quit earlier this time, preferably before she joined at all. Vanessa appeared beside us. She wore a fitted navy blazer even though it was 90 degrees outside. Vanessa always dressed like someone might invite her onto cable news without warning. "What is wrong with you?" she asked. "Good to see you too." "I'm serious." "So am I. You've wanted this for years." I changed my mind. "About the best public sector consulting internship in Illinois." "Yes." Her eyes narrowed behind her. Voss shook hands with Matteo. 27 future case files stood around him. Laughing, my chest tightened. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them everything. Don't sign the electronic certifications. Don't use the reimbursement portal. Don't let Northgate send money into your personal account. If a supervisor tells you a site visit happened when you know it didn't, do not click approve. But what could I say? I knew the future. I had already watched them ruin their lives. I had no proof, not yet. I just don't trust it, I said. Vanessa's expression hardened. "You don't trust Professor Voss?" There it was, the question underneath every bad decision that followed. Not, is the document accurate? Not, is this legal? Do you trust him? Voss had built everything around that question. I looked at Vanessa. "No," I said. She actually stepped back. Professor Voss looked over from across the room. Our eyes met. I remembered him in federal-style courthouse restraints after sentencing, older and smaller than I thought he could look. I remembered him turning toward the gallery and finding me. He had not apologized. He had only said, "You understood more than you admit." For years I hated him for that sentence. At 27, I had finally understood why it haunted me. He had been manipulating us. He had also been right. Eventually I had known enough to walk away. I had stayed. This time I picked up my bag. "Come on, Priya." We made it into the hallway before a familiar male voice said my name. "Maya." I stopped. I knew that voice better than I knew almost anything. Nathan Cole stood near the stairwell holding 2 coffees. He looked 24 again. No tired lines near his mouth, no gray thread at his left temple, no guarded expression from the last time I had seen him in my first life. Just Nathan, tall, dark-haired, clean white shirt with the sleeves rolled once, messenger bag hanging from one shoulder, alive, young, still hurt by me for reasons that had nothing to do with Northgate yet. My lungs forgot what they were doing. Priya looked between us. "Oh," she said. "This is awkward." Nathan glanced at her. "Hi, Priya." "Hi, emotionally unavailable ex-boyfriend. I brought you coffee too." Her face changed instantly. "You're forgiven." He handed her 1 cup, then he looked at me. I was nearby. "That's a lie," I said automatically. He blinked. In my first life he had said those exact words on this exact day. I had forgotten until he spoke. He worked 3 blocks away. He had shown up because he knew Voss was announcing the Northgate placements and wanted to congratulate me. I had been thrilled. We had gone to dinner that night. 3 months later we stopped speaking. Nathan held out the second coffee. "You still drink oat milk?" My throat hurt. "Yes." His expression softened slightly. I almost told him everything. I almost grabbed his shirt and said, "You were right. You were right about Voss. You were right about the reimbursement account. You were right when you told me not to sign anything I hadn't verified. You were right when you testified honestly. And I hated you because blaming you was easier than admitting I had been afraid." Instead I took the coffee. "Thank you." He looked toward the classroom. "How did the announcement go?" Priya made a choking noise. I stared into the plastic lid. "I declined." Nathan said nothing. Then, very carefully, "You declined Northgate?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I already destroyed my life once, because 27 people around us were about to learn how quickly ambition could turn into evidence, because the last time you tried to protect me, I called you controlling. I found something I didn't like." I said it was not technically true yet, but it would be. Nathan studied my face. "What?" "I don't know. That sentence contradicts itself." "I know." Priya lifted her coffee. "I'm going to leave. You two to whatever strange divorced couple conversation this is." "We were never married," I said. "Emotionally, you were 47. She walked away. Nathan waited until she disappeared down the stairs, then he said, "Did Voss do something?" "Not yet." His eyebrows lifted. I closed my eyes. "Forget I said that. That is going to be difficult. I just need time." "For what?" "To make sure I'm not wrong." Nathan shifted his bag onto his other shoulder. The old version of him would have pushed. I remembered that he would ask 5 questions and then another 5 because he hated uncertainty. Maybe he saw something in my face. This time he only said, "Okay." I looked at him. "Okay? You said you need time. That's all?" No. A faint smile touched his mouth. I have about 12 questions. I laughed before I could stop myself. It felt so familiar that tears burned behind my eyes. Nathan noticed. His smile vanished. Maya. I'm fine. You're crying. I'm not. You definitely are. I wiped my cheek angrily. I had a weird morning. He did not reach for me. That mattered even before we understood why. Call me if you need something, he said. He started toward the stairs, then he stopped. Maya? Yes. If this is about Northgate, don't sign anything while you're figuring it out. My fingers tightened around the coffee. Exactly the same warning, exactly the same man in my first life. I had rolled my eyes. This time I whispered, I won't. That evening I opened my old student email account. I searched for a number I had not seen in 6 years. ILWD44817R, the reimbursement authorization number from the first fraudulent compliance packet I had signed. No results. Of course there were no results. Not yet. I almost closed the laptop. Then I searched Hawthorne's public procurement database. One result appeared, a contract amendment uploaded 12 days earlier. Northgate Civic Solutions. My pulse slowed, then stopped. At the bottom of the document was the same authorization number. The fraud had already started, and Professor Voss knew I had refused him. By Tuesday morning, Priya had decided I was having what she called a quarter-life crisis 4 years early. She sat cross-legged on our apartment couch eating dry cereal from a mug while I read the Northgate contract amendment for the 6th time. You're staring at that thing like it insulted your mother. It might. Is your mother listed as a subcontractor? No. Then please explain why we've been awake since 6. I turned the laptop toward her. Do you know what a reimbursement intermediary is? No. Good. She frowned. That did not sound good. Northgate's amended contract allowed the firm to process certain workforce development expenses before the county reimbursed them. On its face, there was nothing criminal about that. Consulting contractors use temporary reimbursement mechanisms all the time. What bothered me was the authorization code. I remembered it because my attorney in the first life had repeated it so often that I could still hear his voice. The prosecution had treated the expenses connected to ILW44817R as one of the clearest examples of fabricated field work. The amendment that created the reimbursement category had been approved before classes started, meaning Voss had not stumbled into fraud halfway through our internship. The structure existed before he recruited us. Priya leaned closer. So what am I supposed to see? Nothing yet. Maya. I'm serious, she groaned. I shut the laptop. This was going to be harder than I thought. In my first life, I had not questioned anything until October. By then I had already received 2 paychecks. Money had a way of changing what questions felt reasonable. When Priya's first Northgate deposit hit her account, she bought groceries without checking prices. Mateo paid his mother's overdue electric bill. Vanessa replaced the transmission in her car. I paid the balance on my university meal plan. None of us thought we had been bought. That was the problem. Are you accepting it? I asked. Priya stopped chewing. The internship. Yes, obviously. Why obviously? She stared at me. Because $24 an hour is more than the library pays me to watch freshmen pretend not to vape in the bathroom. What if something is wrong with Northgate? What? I don't know yet. You keep saying that. I know. Priya set down the mug. Her joking expression disappeared. What are you actually scared of? The truth sat behind my teeth. I was scared of seeing her father. Outside the courthouse again. He had stood on the steps in a brown winter coat, looking older than I remembered. Priya had cried in my car afterward because he would not answer her calls. I was scared of Mateo telling me that if he had quit when I did, his mother would have lost their apartment. I was scared of Vanessa screaming at me in a parking garage that I had destroyed her life when Voss had been the one who taught us how to destroy it ourselves. I was scared of Nathan sitting across from me in a lawyer's office, refusing to lie. Mostly, I was scared that changing my own choice would not change anyone else's. I think Voss is lying about something, I said. Priya's mouth opened then closed. That is a big accusation. I know. Based on one contract number. Based on a feeling. A feeling. Yes. She rubbed both hands over her face. You realize you are the least feelings-based person I know. That's why you should listen. She laughed despite herself. I reached across the coffee table. Just promise me something. What? Don't sign anything that says you verified work unless you actually verified it. Priya stared at me. That is oddly specific. Promise. Fine. And if they ask to route money through your account? She sat up straighter. What? Don't. What kind of internship routes money through students' accounts? Exactly. Now she looked worried. Good. I hated feeling relieved by that. 3 days later, Northgate sent onboarding packets. I did not receive one. Priya did, so did Matteo, Vanessa, and every other student who had accepted. Priya forwarded hers to me. The first 40 pages looked normal: tax forms, direct deposit, confidentiality agreement, technology policy, emergency contacts. Then came something called the Temporary Expense Facilitation Authorization. My hands went cold. In the first life, Northgate had introduced that document in January, not September. They were moving faster. The authorization allowed interns, under limited circumstances, to receive client-approved expense advances and transfer them to designated vendors. It sounded technical enough to be harmless. It was not. In practice, Voss used student bank accounts to make certain reimbursement chains harder to trace. The students kept small administrative fees. Some payments were legitimate, others were not. I called Priya. "Don't sign page 43. She was silent. Then, "How did you know?" "What?" "There's a payment routing form on page 43. I closed my eyes. "Priya, how did you know?" "I guessed." "No, you did not." "I'll explain when I can." "That is becoming your favorite sentence." "I'm sorry." She lowered her voice. "I'm at the library. Matteo is here." "Has he signed?" "I think so." My stomach dropped. "Can you ask?" "Maya, I cannot walk around campus interrogating people about their bank accounts. Just ask if he read the whole packet." "You are being weird." "I know." "That is not reassuring." I almost told her to forget it. Then I remembered what being polite had cost us. "Please." She sighed. "Fine." An hour later she texted, "He signed everything." "So did Vanessa." "I haven't." I wrote back, "Thank you. Don't." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. That afternoon I met Nathan at a coffee shop near his office. He arrived exactly on time. Of course he did. Nathan had once apologized for being 90 seconds late to my birthday dinner. He set his phone face down on the table. "You said you found something." I slid him a printed copy of the contract. Amendment. His expression changed, not dramatically. Nathan never performed surprise. He read quietly. Then he flipped back to the first page. "Why are you looking at this?" "Because of Northgate." "That part one understand. Does anything look strange?" He pointed to the expense intermediary clause. "This is unusual for an internship-heavy contractor." "Illegal?" "No." I felt frustrated. He looked up. "Maya, unusual is not illegal." "I know." "Do you?" "Yes." He tapped the page. "What are you actually asking me?" I hated how well he knew when I was avoiding a question. "Would you sign a form allowing a consulting firm to route client expense money through your personal account?" "No." "Why?" "Because I enjoy sleeping." Despite myself, I smiled. He continued. "Also because personal accounts complicate audit trails, tax reporting, reimbursement controls, and liability." "Exactly. But that still does not prove fraud." "I know." Nathan leaned back. "Did they ask you to do that?" "No." "Someone else?" "I saw an onboarding form." "Were you supposed to see it?" "A friend forwarded it." "That matters." "I know." He watched me carefully. "You're scared." "I'm cautious." "No, you're scared." I looked through the window. A bus stopped outside. Students got off laughing, carrying backpacks and iced drinks. For them, September was still ordinary. "I need to know what Northgate is doing," I said. Nathan's voice softened. "Then look at public records." "That's why I called you." "You called me because I'm an accountant." "You're a forensic accountant." "I'm a junior forensic accountant who mostly reconciles invoices while senior people use words like materiality." "You love it." "I do." He smiled briefly. Then he became serious again. "I'll help you understand public documents. I will not help you access anybody's private accounts, email, or company systems." "I wasn't asking you to." "You were about to." "I was not." "You have that face." "What face?" "The one you get before doing something. You've already decided is justified." I froze. In the first life, that sentence would have started a fight. Nathan had said similar things when I accepted Northgate's explanations. I had heard judgment. Sometimes it had been judgment, sometimes it had been fear. "Then tell me when I have that face," I said. He looked surprised. "What?" "Tell me." "Maya." "I'm serious." For a moment neither of us spoke. Our breakup still lived between us. 3 months earlier, Nathan had accused me of treating every disagreement like an attack. I accused him of trying to manage my life. We had both been right often enough to hurt each other. "Okay," he said. I nodded. "Okay." That night we searched public procurement records. Northgate had contracts with 3 counties. 2 had been amended in the previous year. The same subcontractors appeared repeatedly: a transportation company, a training vendor, a software provider. Nathan circled 3 company names. "Look at the registered addresses." All 3 companies used Suites in the same commercial building. Could be a shared office? I said, could be. You don't believe that. I believe we need more information. We searched Illinois corporate registrations. 2 companies shared an organizer. One had been created 6 weeks before Northgate's contract amendment. I leaned toward the screen. Is that enough? No. Still? No. I groaned. Nathan closed the laptop. This is what you wanted me for. I wanted you to tell me I'm right. That is not what accountants are for. What are they for? Ruining dramatic moments with documentation. I laughed. He did too. For 1 second we were us again. Then my phone buzzed. Priya. She had sent a screenshot from the Northgate portal. Maya, they changed the form. Below her message was an updated onboarding screen. The optional reimbursement authorization was no longer optional. Interns could not complete enrollment without checking the box. Nathan read over my shoulder. His expression went still. That, he said, I would document. I stared at the screen. Then another message arrived. From Mateo. Priya says you think something's wrong. Voss wants to know if you've been contacting interns. I looked at Nathan. Professor Voss was already watching me. And the internship had not even started. Northgate's orientation took place on the 2nd Saturday of September. I was not invited. I went to the building anyway, not inside. I sat across the street in a sandwich shop with a clear view of the entrance and felt ridiculous. Nathan refused to come. His exact words had been, watching people enter a building is not forensic accounting. He was right. I still wanted company. At 8:45 Mateo arrived. Then Priya, then Vanessa. Priya had still not completed her reimbursement authorization, but Voss had convinced her to attend orientation before deciding. That made me nervous. Voss was good in person. He remembered parents' names. He remembered who had applied to law school. He knew which student had an uncle in hospice and which one had a younger brother starting community college. That attentiveness was real, so was the way he used it. At 11:15 Priya came out. She crossed the street and dropped into the chair across from me. You look like a private investigator with no budget. How was it? No hello. Hello, how was it? She stole one of my fries. Normal. My heart sank. Define normal. Welcome speech, organizational chart, HR lady, cybersecurity training, timesheets. And the account authorization, she chewed slowly. Voss said it is required because some field expenses have to be reimbursed quickly. What does that mean? I asked. Good. He said it's rare. What else? That students are never responsible for deciding whether a reimbursement is valid. I leaned forward. Remember that sentence. Maya. Remember it. She rolled her eyes, but she nodded. Anything else? There's a compliance portal. I already knew. They assign cases, we review files and check boxes. Cases. Workforce training reimbursements, mileage, vendor attendance. Are you supposed to verify them? Only against documents Northgate gives us. There it was, the first step, not fake anything, just verify what someone else gave you. The student believed the underlying records were legitimate. A month later, a supervisor would say, the field office confirmed this verbally. Then, we've always processed these this way. Then, use last month's documentation as a placeholder. Then, eventually, just to prove it. Corruption rarely arrived wearing a sign. It arrived as workflow. Priya, please quit. She stared at me. That's easy for you to say. The words hit harder than she intended. She saw it immediately. I didn't mean, no, you're right. My scholarships covered tuition. Priya's did not. Her parents were not poor, but they were helping 2 younger siblings through school. She worked 20 hours a week. Northgate would let her quit the library. You're right, I repeated. I'm not saying I'm staying. But you need a reason to leave. Yes. Okay. That was fair. Warnings without evidence were just fear with better vocabulary. I needed evidence. I got the first piece in October. Priya called me at 10:17 on a Wednesday night. Her voice sounded wrong. Can you come downstairs? I was already getting out of bed. She stood in the apartment lobby holding her laptop. Upstairs, I said. Once our door closed, she opened the Northgate portal. A reimbursement case filled the screen. A local welding program had billed the workforce grant for 12 trainees. Attending a 4-day certification course, attached attendance sheet showed all 12 present. The case note said a Northgate intern had verified the training. Priya pointed at the verification line. That's my name. I looked closer. Reviewed by Priya Desai. Timestamp, 4:12 p.m. Did you review it? No. Did you log in today? No. Did anyone ask for your password? No. My skin went cold. Take screenshots. I already did. Good. She looked pale. I called the supervisor. What did they say? That it was probably a system error. Who? Eric Lang. I remembered Eric, operations director. He pleaded guilty before Voss did. What exactly did he say? Priya opened a note on her phone. She had written down the conversation. I almost hugged her. You remembered what you told me? Yes. What happened next? He asked me to open the case. She clicked. The attendance sheets looked ordinary until she enlarged the fourth page. Look at the dates. The welding facility was supposedly closed that Monday for Labor Day, yet 12 trainees were listed present for 8 hours. Priya swallowed. I asked Eric. What did he say? He said the training was rescheduled but the vendor used the original template. Possible. I know. What did he ask you to do? Her eyes met mine. He told me to approve it. My pulse started pounding. Did you? No. Relief hit so hard I had to sit down. What did you say? That I hadn't verified it. And, he said, you're not certifying the underlying event, you're certifying that the packet is administratively complete. I remembered that phrase, administratively complete, for years of my life had once hung on those two words. Did he put that in writing? No. Email him. What? Send a neutral email, say you want to confirm his instruction. Maya, that sounds like I'm building a case. You are building a record. She stared at me. How do you know how to do this? I looked away because I had once paid a lawyer $400 an hour to teach me. I read things. You read procurement law for fun? No one reads procurement law for fun. She almost smiled, then her eyes filled. If I quit, do I lose the credit? I don't know. The money? Yes, she nodded slowly. My parents are already mad I stopped working at the library. I know. No, you don't. She was right again. That was something my first life had taught me. Knowing how a story ended did not mean I understood every reason people stayed inside it. The next morning, Voss asked me to remain after seminar. Students filed out. Vanessa lingered. Voss looked at her. Ms. Reed? She hesitated, then left. Voss closed the classroom door. I understand you've been advising students not to participate in Northgate. I've told friends to read what they sign. That is different from what I heard. What did you hear? That you told Ms. Desai Northgate is committing fraud. My stomach tightened. I said I had concerns, based on public records. Which ones? I smiled. He did not, he said. I recommended you for the Wellington Fellowship. I had forgotten the Wellington Fellowship paid for graduate school in my first life. Voss withdrew his recommendation after investigators arrived. At the time, he claimed the department could no longer support me because of the criminal case. This time, he was reminding me before anything happened. That was generous. I said, generous? Supportive? He leaned against the desk. Maya, you are talented, very talented, but talented students sometimes confuse suspicion with sophistication. I don't? I hope not. He opened his laptop. I also hope your concerns do not become defamatory statements. There it was, a threat dressed as professional advice. I haven't accused you publicly of anything. Keep it that way. I picked up my bag, then I saw the screen. His Northgate dashboard was open only for a second. I saw a list of compliance reviewers: Vanessa Reed, Mateo Ruiz, Priya Desai, and halfway down, Maya Bennett. I stopped. Voss noticed. He closed the laptop. What? Why is my name in Northgate system? His face did not move. I don't know what you mean. I saw it. You saw a dashboard from several feet away. My name was listed as a compliance reviewer. That would be impossible. You declined. Then show me. He stood. The warmth disappeared. I think this conversation is over. No, I think it just started. Maya, if my name is attached to Northgate, I want it removed. It isn't. Put that in writing. His eyes narrowed. For the first time since waking up, I felt something other than fear, anger, clean anger, useful anger. I walked out. Nathan was waiting near the student union because we were supposed to have lunch. One look at my face and he said, "What happened?" I told him. His jaw tightened. What exactly did you see? A reviewer list. Could it be a template from last year? My name. Fair. He denied it. Did you email him? I'm about to. Good. I looked at him. You're not going to tell me to go to the police? No. Why not? Because seeing your name on a screen is not enough to know what occurred. I hated how calming that was. So what do I do? Ask Northgate's HR or compliance department in writing whether you have an account. I don't want to alert them. They already know you're asking questions. True. Nathan rubbed his thumb across the paper cup in his hand. Also contact Hawthorne IT. Ask whether university single sign-on credentials were ever provisioned for Northgate. You think Voss used my login? I think we should not invent facts. I exhaled. There's the accountant. He's very annoying. I remember. The word slipped out. Nathan looked at me. Remember. I froze. Our relationship. Something passed across his face. Pain, maybe. We're allowed to remember that. I know. Do you? I looked down. This was another thing I had not expected. I had returned to a time when Nathan and I were already broken. Rebirth had not erased what happened before August. We had still fought. I had still told him I was tired of feeling managed. He had still told me I treated love like a performance review. We had still ended things. The second chance was not clean. Maybe that was why it felt real. I'm sorry, I said. For what? Some things I said. That's broad. I'm not ready to be specific. He gave a small sad smile. Consistent. I deserved that. That evening I emailed Northgate. I emailed Hawthorne IT. I emailed Professor Voss summarizing our conversation and asking him to confirm that I had never been enrolled as an intern or authorized as a compliance reviewer. Northgate did not answer. Voss did. His reply contained only 2 sentences. Maya, as I told you today, you are not a Northgate intern. I strongly recommend that you focus on your academic responsibilities rather than speculating about systems you do not understand. It was almost perfect, almost. He did not say my name had never been used. I forwarded the email to myself. Then another message arrived from Hawthorne IT. Our records show a Northgate-linked application token was issued to your university account on August 26, 2 days after I refused the internship. Someone had created access in my name anyway. Attorney Lena Ortiz did not look impressed by me. That was one of the reasons I trusted her. Priya found her through Hawthorne's off-campus student legal assistance program. Lena was in her late 30s, wore bright red glasses, and kept a ceramic frog on her desk with a sticky note attached to it. That said, the frog is not your lawyer. I liked her immediately. She read the Hawthorne IT email twice, then she looked at me. Do you have evidence that anyone used the account? No. Do you have access to the Northgate system? No. Did you authorize the account? No. Did you ever complete onboarding? No. Did you ever receive compensation? No. She nodded. Good. I had expected more urgency. That's it. That's a very good it. But somebody created credentials in my name. Yes. That's serious. Potentially. I stared at her. She smiled slightly. You don't like cautious words. I'm learning. Learn faster. Priya snorted. Lena continued. We document what we know. We do not log into accounts that are not yours. We do not guess passwords. We do not ask your friends to download confidential company files. We do not record conversations in places where consent laws might create problems without checking first. I glanced at Priya. She pointed at me. I told you she had that face. Apparently Nathan had recruited others into this theory. Lena sent Northgate a formal letter stating that I had not authorized any account and requesting preservation of records connected to my name. She also advised me to submit a written complaint to Hawthorne's compliance office. That was how I met Associate Provost Daniel Harrow. Harrow had the appearance of a man assembled entirely from cautious institutional language. He listened, he took notes, he thanked me, then he said, We have no evidence of university misconduct. You have evidence that university credentials were provisioned to an external contractor without my permission. We have evidence that an application token was created. Exactly. That does not necessarily indicate unauthorized use. Then investigate it. We will. How? He looked uncomfortable. Through established procedures. That phrase should have come with warning lights. Still, I filed the complaint. 2 weeks passed. Nothing happened. Meanwhile, Northgate's internship continued. Priya stopped approving questionable files. Her supervisor began reducing her assigned hours. Mateo called me one night. You're causing problems. I sat on my bed. Hi, Mateo. I'm serious. So am I. Voss says you're trying to get Northgate suspended. Did he say why? He says you're angry because you didn't get a leadership position. I laughed. You believe that? No. Then why are you calling? He was quiet. I heard traffic behind him. My mother's landlord gave her until January. I closed my eyes. There it was, the part of the story that never fit neatly into legal briefs. How much do you make at Northgate? Enough. Mateo. About $800 a week with the field assignments. That was more than most students made. You sending it home? Most of it. What are they asking you to do? Normal stuff. Then why call me? Silence, Mateo. One site visit. My pulse changed. What about it? I signed the verification. Did you go? No, I stood. What did they tell you? That Vanessa went. Did she? I don't know. Then why did you sign? His voice sharpened. Because Eric said the team verification covered everybody assigned to the case. Did the form say that? No. Did you ask? Yes. And? He said this is how they've always done it. I sat back down, the exact progression, the exact words. Mateo, don't sign another one. I need this job. I know. No, you don't. Everyone kept saying that to me, and everyone was right. I remembered outcomes, not hunger, not rent, not the fear of calling your mother to tell her the money was gone. I can't tell you what to do, I said. He laughed bitterly. That's what you're doing. No, I'm telling you what I know. If a form says you verified something you didn't verify, your name is on that statement. You sound like a lawyer. I paid enough of them in another life. What? Nothing, he exhaled. Voss says it's administrative. I know. How do you know? Because I had once repeated that defense under oath. He says the same thing to everyone. Mateo did not quit. I wished I could say I understood. I did not. I understood more than before. That was different. A week later, Hawthorne IT sent me a second report. The Northgate application token associated with my account had been accessed 3 times. The logins originated from an IP range assigned to the School of Public Policy and Business, Professor Voss's building. Lena told me not to jump to conclusions. Nathan said the same thing. I wanted to scream at both of them. Then Nathan did something that surprised me. He stopped talking. We were sitting in his car outside my apartment. I had spent 10 minutes complaining. He listened. When I finished, I said, "That's all you have?" "What?" "No lecture. You don't need one. I usually get one. I'm trying something new." "What?" "Believing you can decide what to do with information." The words landed somewhere tender in our relationship. Nathan had often tried to protect me by removing uncertainty. He researched things before I asked. He checked my car tires. He corrected my budgets. He once called a landlord on my behalf because I had mentioned a leaking pipe. At first it felt like love. Then it felt like I was living inside someone else's emergency plan. I had responded by hiding problems from him. Neither of us had understood what we were creating. "What do you think I should do?" I asked. He smiled. "That is very different from me telling you, don't enjoy this." "I'm trying not to." I nudged his arm. He looked at me for a second. The car felt too small. I remembered kissing him in this exact parking lot. Different life, different year, same mouth. I looked away first. "I think," Nathan said, "you give the access logs to your attorney and the university compliance office." "I already sent them to Lena." "Good. And if Hawthorne does nothing, then ask Lena what lawful external reporting options exist." I nodded. "State Inspector General. Maybe. Attorney General. Maybe. You are deeply unsatisfying. I work in audit. That should be on your business card." He laughed. Then my phone rang. "Priya," I answered. "What happened?" She was crying. "They put money in my account." My stomach dropped. "How much?" $6,400. "Do not move it." I didn't. "Do not spend it." "Obviously." "Screenshot everything." I did. Nathan was already opening his laptop. "What does the transfer say?" "Priya, read it. NCS Field Expense Advance." "Did you request it?" "No." "Did they tell you it was coming?" "No." Nathan leaned toward the phone. "Priya, this is Nathan. Don't transfer it anywhere until you've spoken with counsel." "I know. Also, don't return it by sending it to an account someone emails you. Make them reverse it through the original banking channel or get written instructions reviewed first." Priya sniffed. "Why does everyone sound like a crime show now?" Nobody answered. The next morning, 7 other interns received similar payments. Mateo received $9,000. Vanessa received 12. Northgate emailed all of them. The payments, the email explained, were temporary advances for approved field service vendors. Students were instructed to transfer specific amounts to designated recipients within 48 hours. Each intern would retain a processing stipend. Priya forwarded the message to Lena. Lena called me 10 minutes later. Her voice had changed. "Now," she said, "we have enough to stop treating this as an academic concern." I looked across our apartment at Priya. She was sitting on the floor, staring at the bank balance on her phone. "What happens next?" I asked. "We report carefully." "Will the students get in trouble?" "That depends on what they do now." I looked at Priya. She looked back, then she whispered, "What about the ones who already transferred it?" I knew one of them, Mateo, and I knew this was only the beginning. Hawthorne University received our updated complaint on November 3. By November 8, Professor Voss knew exactly what was in it. I found out because he quoted part of it to me. We were leaving seminar when he said, "You seem very interested in the phrase student-controlled reimbursement pathways." I stopped. That wording appeared in Lena's letter. It had not appeared in any email I sent Voss. He smiled. Is something wrong? Who showed you the complaint? I have no idea what you're talking about. You just quoted it. I teach compliance, Maya. It is not a unique phrase. It was unique enough I went directly to Lena. She was less surprised than I was. Internal complaints are rarely sealed in the way students imagine, she said. So Hawthorne told him. Possibly. That means the process is compromised. It means the subject of a complaint may be notified. We need to determine whether they improperly disclosed information. Why are you always calm? I charge less when I'm calm. That got a laugh out of me, barely. The university placed Northgate under administrative review. It did not suspend the internship. That decision mattered. Northgate used the delay during November. Students were assigned more field verifications. Some stopped asking questions, others asked and were reassured. The payment transfers continued. Priya refused to move the money in her account. Northgate reversed it 10 days later. Her hours dropped to 6 per week. Then 4 by Thanksgiving. She had earned less than she would have at the library. Mateo kept working, so did Vanessa. I barely spoke to Vanessa anymore. Then she cornered me outside the student union. You got Priya's hours cut. I didn't. Don't. Her face was pale with anger. You report Northgate. Suddenly everybody who questions things loses assignments. That sounds like a Northgate problem. You know what you're doing. So do you? She flinched. I hated that. I enjoyed it. That was another lesson my first life had not fixed. Being right could feel like permission to be cruel. You signed a field verification for a site you never visited, I said. Her face changed. How do you know that? Mateo mentioned it. He had no right. Did you? That's none of your business. It becomes my business when my name is being used in the same system. Vanessa stepped closer. You think you're better than us because you walked away. No. Yes, you do. I think Voss is using you. And I think you're angry because he stopped treating you like his favorite student. The sentence hurt because it was partly true. Before Northgate, I had admired Voss more than I wanted to admit. His approval mattered. He had told me I was one of the best analytical students he had taught. For someone who spent most of her life feeling like she had entered Hawthorne through a side door, his confidence in me had felt enormous. Maybe that was why I had trusted him the first time. I was his favorite, I said. That's how I know what it feels like. Vanessa's eyes flashed. Do you? Yes. What about Nathan? I froze. She regretted it immediately, but she had already opened the door. What about him? You're spending a lot of time together again. That has nothing to do with you. You made it have something to do with me when you stopped speaking to me after we went out. You dated my ex. 3 times. 4. 3. I saw you at Halston's. That was not a date. He helped me move a table. I stared. Vanessa stared back. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Seriously? Yes. That stupid dining table. My aunt gave it to me. I thought. I know what you thought. Something uncomfortable passed between us. In my first life I had turned Vanessa into a villain long before Northgate. It had been easier that way. She had Professor Voss's attention. Nathan had gone to dinner with her. She had the career confidence I wanted. Then when everything collapsed, she became the perfect person to blame. I'm sorry, I said. Vanessa looked suspicious. For what? For deciding things about you without asking. She looked away. Whatever. Not forgiveness. Fair enough. That night Nathan came over with takeout. Priya was at work. She had returned to the library. I told him what Vanessa said. He closed his eyes. The table. You could have mentioned that. We were broken up. You took her to dinner. She asked if I knew a place with good ramen. That sounds like a date. It was. I stared at him. He sighed. Once one date, then we agreed. It was strange. Why strange? Because she spent half the evening asking whether I thought you hated her. That shut me up. Nathan opened his food. I was not trying to replace you. I know. Do you? I'm working on it. He nodded. We ate for several minutes. Then I said, in my head, you abandoned me. He looked up slowly. What? I should have stopped. I did not. In my head, there's this version of us where something terrible happened and you left. Nathan put down his fork. Maya. I know that sounds strange. It sounds specific. I stared at the cardboard container. You testified against me. The words escaped. Silence filled the room. Nathan's face went blank. What are you talking about? I could not tell him. Not yet, maybe not ever. I had a dream. A dream? Yes, he watched me. What did I testify about? Northgate. He leaned back. Maya, that is not a normal dream. I know. How long have you been having it? I rubbed my hands together. Since August. Is that why you refused? I said nothing. Nathan stood. For one terrifying second I thought he was leaving. Instead he walked to the sink and stared out the kitchen window. When we broke up, he said, you told me I never trusted your judgment. I remember. I told you that you made decisions based on proving you didn't need anyone. I remember that too. He turned. If you believe I would testify truthfully about something and you think that means I abandoned you, then maybe we have a bigger problem than Northgate. I felt tears burn my eyes. That's not fair. Probably not. He sounded tired. But neither was the way we were. I could not argue. In the first life, Nathan had not volunteered against me. He had been subpoenaed. He told investigators that he had warned me about the reimbursement account after seeing a transfer notification on my phone. My lawyer had said his testimony was damaging. I had hated him for it. Years later, I finally admitted what I had expected. I wanted Nathan to lie. That was not love, that was fear asking for proof. I'm sorry, I whispered. He looked at me for a long moment, then he sat back down. We are not doing this now. What? Us? Oh, the word hurt. Nathan continued. You are in the middle of something serious. I still care about you. That makes it very easy for both of us to confuse fear with intimacy. I looked at him. That was annoyingly mature. I hated every second. I laughed through tears. He smiled. For the first time, I understood that reconciliation did not start with a kiss. Sometimes it started with someone refusing to use your vulnerability. 2 days later, Hawthorne sent Priya a notice. Her application for the Hastings Public Service Scholarship would no longer include a departmental recommendation. No explanation. She stared at the email. I needed that recommendation. I felt sick. Voss. Who else? We could not prove it. That was the point. Consequences arrived without signatures, pressure without orders. Nathan read the notice that evening. This changes something, he said. What? The university now has notice of possible retaliation. Lena agreed. She escalated the complaint to Hawthorne's general counsel. 3 days later, we received a formal response. The university had reviewed the matter. It found insufficient evidence of misconduct. Northgate would continue operating. Priya read the letter twice, then she handed it to me. So that's it. No. What do we do? I looked at the university seal on the page. In my first life, I believed institutions failed because nobody knew. Now I knew something worse. Sometimes everybody knew just enough to avoid knowing more. We go outside Hawthorne, I said. Lena made us wait. I hated her for 3 days. Then I understood why. You don't report a complicated fraud theory to 6 agencies because you're angry, she said. You identify jurisdiction, preserve documents, and make one coherent disclosure. Northgate's contracts involved Illinois workforce development money. Some funds originated with federal employment programs, but the state administered the grants. Lena helped Priya and me prepare a factual report to the Illinois Office of Executive Inspector General and the state agency overseeing the grant. No dramatic accusations, no speeches, dates, documents, payment instructions, unauthorized credentials. That was all. Then we waited. December arrived. Hawthorne decorated the quad with white lights. Students took graduation photos early before snow. Northgate held a holiday dinner at a downtown hotel. 28 students still attended. Priya had formally resigned the week before. That left 27. I counted them in a photograph Vanessa posted online. 27. The number made me nauseous. Stop looking. Nathan said. We were sitting in his apartment. I can't. You have been staring at that photo for 10 minutes. 27. What? Nothing. He took my phone. I glared. He handed it back immediately. Sorry. That small correction mattered more than he knew. Old Nathan would have put it across the room. Old Maya would have accused him of controlling her. This time he said, do you want me to tell you to stop? No. Then I won't. I put the phone face down myself. Thank you. Northgate announced completion bonuses the next week. $3,000 for interns who remain through May. $5,000 for student team leaders. Vanessa became a team leader. Mateo did too. I found him outside the economics building after finals. Congratulations, I said. He laughed without humor. You mean that? No. At least you're honest. He looked exhausted. Are you still signing verifications? He shoved his hands into his coat pockets. You always go straight there. Because it matters. They fixed the system. What does that mean? Now the supervisor adds a note saying verification is based on vendor documentation. Are the documents accurate? I don't know. Then you're still signing. His face tightened. You think I don't understand? I think you're trying not to. That was cruel. He looked away. Snow had started falling. Tiny dry flakes caught in his hair. My mother got a new lease. He said. I closed my mouth. Northgate money paid the deposit. I'm glad she's safe. If I quit in October, she wouldn't be. That doesn't make the forms true. I know. There it was, no manipulation, no confusion, not anymore. I suddenly wished he had lied to me. I know, he repeated, his voice broke slightly. What do you want me to say, Maya? Nothing. You want me to admit I'm a bad person? No. Then what? I want you to stop. I can't. You can? No. He looked at me. You can walk away because you already walked away. That sentence stayed with me. People talked about moral choices. As if everyone stood on the same ground, they did not, but unequal pressure did not turn a choice into no choice. That was the terrible middle. I hope you get out before this becomes something you can't undo, I said. Mateo smiled sadly. You sound like you know the ending. I did. January began with a new semester. Northgate's activity accelerated. Grant deadlines were approaching. Students worked 25 or 30 hours a week. Several skipped classes. Voss approved independent study credits so they could continue. Then Vanessa knocked on my apartment door at 11:30 on a Thursday night. Priya opened it. Neither of us spoke. Vanessa looked terrible, no makeup, hair tied back, dark circles under her eyes. She stepped inside. Can people go to prison for signing something they know is wrong? Priya closed the door. I stared at Vanessa. Sit down. I don't want tea. I didn't offer. She almost smiled, then she started crying. Not dramatically, that made it worse. What happened? She pulled out her laptop. There was a vendor audit. What vendor? Brightpath Training. I remembered the name, one of Northgate's largest subcontractors. The county asked for attendance documentation. And Eric told me to rebuild the files. What does rebuild mean? You know what it means. I need you to say it. Vanessa wiped her face. Create attendance records from scheduling data. Were the original records missing? Some. Did the classes happen? Some. My stomach tightened. What did you do? I made the records. Priya inhaled sharply. Vanessa looked at me. I knew. Nobody spoke. I knew those sheets weren't original. Did Voss tell you to do it? Yes. Email? No. Text? No. Anyone else present? Eric, did you sign them? She nodded. How many? 23. Priya sat down. I felt suddenly cold. 23 records was not an administrative misunderstanding. What did Voss say? That the training had occurred and we were reconstructing documentation. Had it? I don't. No. Did you ask? Yes. And? He said if I didn't trust him after everything he had done for me, I should leave. There it was again, trust, not accuracy, not law, loyalty. I looked at Vanessa. Why didn't you leave? Her face hardened. Because not everybody can afford your principles. Don't. You asked. I didn't ask you to insult me. My father's company failed in June. Priya and I looked at each other. Nobody knew. Vanessa laughed bitterly. Everyone thinks my family is rich. We were, she said. Then my dad guaranteed a business loan personally. He lost almost everything. My parents are selling the house. I sat down across from her. Voss knows? Yes. He offered me the team lead bonus before anyone else. Now I understood, not excused, understood. Vanessa rubbed her hands together. I have law school applications out. If I quit, I lose his recommendation. If you stay, you may have a much bigger problem. I know that now. Do you? She glared at me. Yes, I took a breath. Then get your own lawyer. Can I talk to yours? Lena represents Priya and advises me on the university issue. You need separate counsel if your interests could conflict. Vanessa looked surprised. You're not going to help me. I am helping you. Her face crumpled. I understood what she wanted. She wanted me to say she was innocent. I could not. Priya sat beside her. You can still stop. Vanessa covered her face. I already did it. That doesn't mean you keep doing it. A week later, Vanessa resigned from her team lead role. She did not resign from Northgate. Not yet. Voss convinced her to stay as a regular intern. When I confronted her, she said, I need the recommendation. I wanted to shake her. Instead, I heard Mateo's voice. You can walk away because you already walked away. Nathan came over that night. I told him everything except details Vanessa's lawyer might consider confidential. He listened. Then I said, tell me what to do. No, I stared at him. You love telling me what to do. I used to. I'm asking. Then ask a narrower question. I almost snapped at him. Instead, I understood. Should I keep trying to convince Vanessa to quit? Nathan thought, no. Why? Because she knows the risk now. So I just watch. You can offer support, you can tell the truth, but if she stays after understanding what she is signing, that choice becomes hers. I hated that answer. People said that about me. In your dream. I looked at him. Yes. And were they wrong? I could not speak. Nathan reached across the table. He stopped before touching my hand. I turned my palm over. Then he held it. Not rescue, permission, choice. For the first time since waking up, I wondered whether changing the future might mean accepting that I could not save everybody in it. Vanessa quit Northgate on February 14. She called it the least romantic Valentine's Day of her life. Nathan said that was statistically impossible because one year he had spent Valentine's night helping a client reconcile dental supply invoices. I told him, accountants should not be allowed to define romance. He said that explained our breakup. It was the closest we had come to flirting in months. Then Vanessa handed me a flash drive and ruined the moment. We were in Lena's office. Lena did not touch it. What is this? Vanessa stared at the drive. Copies of files. Lena's expression sharpened. From where? Northgate. How did you obtain them? I had access. Were you authorized to copy them? Vanessa hesitated. No. Lena pushed the drive back across the desk. Then I do not want this. Vanessa looked stunned. But it proves everything. That does not mean Maya should possess it. What am I supposed to do? Give it to your lawyer. She told me the same thing. Good lawyer. Vanessa looked at me. Why is everyone obsessed with making this difficult? Because evidence obtained improperly can create new problems, Lena said. Vanessa laughed once. Of course. She picked up the drive, then she said, there is another way. We waited. Voss has a private archive. I remembered hearing about it in my first life, not until discovery. What archive? Hard copies, original vendor packets, old drafts. Where? His faculty office. Lena held up one hand. Nobody is entering his office. I have a key. Nobody is entering his office. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Fine. What matters, Lena said, is whether investigators know the archive exists. We reported its existence through proper channels. That was all. It felt painfully small. 2 weeks later, it became enormous. Before that happened, Vanessa finally told me why she had defended Voss for so long. We were sitting on the concrete steps behind the library. She looked across campus. When my dad's company collapsed, I thought I was going to lose everything. You lost a lot. Not everything. She smiled without humor. I still had a place to live. My parents still had retirement accounts. We were not poor. Fear doesn't check tax brackets. She looked at me. That was almost kind. Don't get used to it. She laughed, then her face became serious. Voss paid my spring tuition. I turned what? Not personally. Northgate gave me an education stipend. How much? 12,000. I felt sick. When? August. Before the internship even started, he had tied her to Northgate months earlier. Did you know it came from grant money? No. Do you now? I think so. Vanessa. I know. She looked down at her hands. You know what the worst part is? What? He really helped me. I did understand that people wanted abusers of power to be terrible every minute. It made stories cleaner. Voss was not. He remembered Vanessa's mother's surgery. He once spent an entire Saturday helping Matteo apply for emergency housing assistance. He wrote letters for students who would never have entered graduate programs without him. That did not erase what he did. It explained why people trusted him long after trust became dangerous. I loved him, Vanessa said. Not romantically, I knew what she meant. As a mentor. Yeah. So did I. She glanced at me. I thought you hated him from the beginning. No. I looked across the quad. In another version of my life, I would have followed him anywhere. She was silent, then she said, you really do talk like you've been here before. I smiled faintly. Nathan said the same thing that evening. We were walking along the river after dinner. February wind came off the water hard enough to hurt. You keep describing things before they happen. He said, I'm observant. You knew about the reimbursement accounts. I guessed. You knew Voss would pressure students to sign verification forms. Also a guess. You told Priya not to sign page 43 before you saw the packet. I stopped walking. Nathan stopped too. You remembered that. I remember everything you say when it scares me. The sentence stole my answer. He shoved his hands into his coat pockets. I'm not asking because I think you're lying to hurt me. Then why? Because something happened to you. I looked away. How could I explain 6 years that technically never happened? A criminal record, a courtroom. My mother sitting behind me while I pleaded guilty. Vanessa refusing to look at me. Mateo texting once from an unknown number and then disappearing. Nathan testifying. My own rage. Years of rebuilding, then sleep, then August. I had a life, I said slowly. Nathan waited. One where I made the other choice. His brow furrowed. I accepted Northgate. Maya. I know how it sounds. He did not interrupt. I signed things. My voice shook. I told myself they were administrative. I took the money when people warned me. I said they didn't understand how consulting worked. Nathan's face had gone pale. I got charged. He stared. I pleaded to a misdemeanor. The river rushed below us. I lost graduate school. Maya. You testified. His face changed. I hated you. He took one step closer. Is this a dream? I don't know. Did you hit your head? I don't know. Maya. I went to sleep at 27. I woke up here. Silence. I expected disbelief. Maybe I wanted it. Instead, Nathan sat on the low stone wall beside the path. He looked at the river for a long time, then he said, "What happened to us?" I sat beside him. We ended badly. We already ended badly. Worse. How? You tried to warn me. I treated it like jealousy. He closed his eyes. Sounds plausible. I hit his shoulder lightly. He almost smiled. Then investigators subpoenaed you. What did I do? You told the truth. His eyes opened. And you hated me? Yes. Because I told the truth. Yes. He absorbed that. That also sounds plausible. This time I laughed through tears. I'm sorry. For something I haven't done. For something I did. He looked at me. You understand, I don't know whether I believe this. I know. I believe you believe it. That's enough. No. He turned toward me. I believe you are scared of repeating something real to you. That's enough. My throat tightened. Nathan reached for my hand. Then stopped. The old habit. Permission. I took his hand myself. We sat there until my fingers went numb. I almost told him I still loved him. I didn't. Because love was no longer the most urgent truth between us. Trust was. 3 days later. The State Inspector General's office contacted Vanessa's attorney. Investigators had obtained Northgate's internal emails through subpoena. They had seen references to an archive packet. They wanted to know where it was. Vanessa told them. The following Monday, Professor Voss canceled class for the first time in 11 years. No explanation. At 9:40 that morning, 2 investigators and a Hawthorne attorney entered his faculty office. They left carrying 6 sealed evidence boxes. The archive had been real, and inside it were the original versions of documents students had later been told to reconstruct. The subpoenas changed the campus before anyone officially admitted what was happening. Northgate stopped assigning new cases. Professor Voss missed 2 classes. Hawthorne announced that he was taking temporary administrative leave. Students began deleting old social media posts about the internship. That was a mistake. Lena told everyone. She advised the same thing. Do not destroy records because you're afraid of them. Fear made ordinary people do suspicious things. By March, fear was everywhere. Mateo called me after midnight. They want my laptop. Who? Investigators. Did they give you paperwork? My lawyer has it. Relief, he had a lawyer. Then listen to your lawyer. I just want to know what's happening. I don't know everything. You know more than me. Not this time. The future I remembered had already changed in my first life. The state did not obtain Voss's archive until April. Now it was March. Priya had quit months earlier. Vanessa had counsel and had stopped destroying herself in the name of loyalty. I had never touched Northgate money. The map was different. I know they found original vendor packets. I said. Mateo was silent. What does that mean? You know, he exhaled shakily. Some of the records we uploaded don't match. Your lawyer needs to know exactly what you did. I told him. Everything. Yes. Good. Do you hate me? The question surprised me. No. You should. That would be convenient. What does that mean? It means hating you would let me stop thinking about why you stayed. He was silent. Why did I stay? He asked. You tell me. My mom. That's part of it. What else? He laughed. Bitterly. You really want the ugly part? Yes. After a while, I liked the money. I closed my eyes. Okay. And the title? Team lead. Yeah. I understand. No, you don't. I understand enough. He breathed. I kept telling myself if the training happened somewhere, the paperwork wasn't the important part. That's what Voss wanted you to think. I know. Now? Yeah. Before hanging up, Mateo said, I wish you had been louder. That hurt. Then he added, I also know I probably wouldn't have listened. Both things could be true. The archive contained 3 years of records, original attendance sheets, vendor invoices, handwritten notes, draft compliance summaries. Investigators discovered that Northgate repeatedly billed workforce grants for training sessions with inflated attendance. Some sessions occurred, others had fewer participants than claimed, a small number appeared never to have occurred. Student interns were used to create the final electronic compliance trail. That distinction became legally important. The students had not designed the scheme, but many had signed certifications after learning the records were inaccurate. Some had transferred grant money through personal accounts, several kept processing fees. Voss and Eric Lang controlled the larger fraud, but control did not automatically make everyone below them innocent. Nathan explained none of that to me. He refused. Why? I asked. Because I'm not your lawyer. You understand financial investigations? Yes. So explain. No. I stared at him across my kitchen. You have been waiting years to say no to me, haven't you? Maybe. He smiled, then he became serious. You need legal advice from Lena. I can explain what an audit trail is. I am not going to predict criminal exposure for your classmates. Fair? I know. Don't ruin it. He laughed. The strange thing was how normal our relationship had become. Not romantic, not exactly friendship. He brought groceries when Priya and I worked late. I reviewed his presentation for a professional certification seminar. We argued about movies. Sometimes I forgot that I had once spent years being angry with him. One Friday night, we sat on the floor of my apartment eating pizza. Priya had gone home for the weekend. Nathan found an old photograph tucked into a textbook. Sophomore year, I was sitting on his shoulders at a football game. He looked at the photo. We were terrible. We were happy. Both. I took it from him. I thought happy meant nothing was wrong. That was probably our first mistake. Only first. Top 5. I leaned against the couch. What happened after my case? In the other life? Yes. Nathan's expression changed. I don't know, you haven't told me. We didn't speak for almost 4 years. He stared at me. 4? I saw you once at a grocery store. That sounds dramatic. I hid behind frozen vegetables. He laughed so loudly I threw a pillow at him. Then he looked at me. Did I look happy? The question was quiet. I don't know. Did you? No. That answer stayed between us. He leaned closer. I did too. For 1 second I thought we were going to kiss. Then I felt the fear underneath it. What if everything collapsed tomorrow? What if I lost him again? What if this was the universe giving me a replacement life and I had to lock down every good thing before it disappeared? I pulled back. Nathan did too. Too much? He asked. Wrong reason. He nodded immediately. That was why I almost cried. Old us would have turned that moment into rejection. New us let it remain unfinished. On March 18th, state investigators served formal subpoenas on 29 former and current Northgate interns. Priya received one as a witness, Vanessa received one through her lawyer, Mateo received a more extensive demand, so did 26 others. I received one too. Mine requested emails, texts, and documents regarding Professor Voss and Northgate. I was not identified as a target. Lena still insisted on attending my interview. During the interview, an investigator named Special Agent Marcus Bell placed a document in front of me. I knew it immediately. Authorization number over 4817. My breath caught. This reimbursement batch was processed in October, Bell said. In the original timeline it was January. He stared. Lena coughed. I closed my eyes. Sorry. Bell looked at Lena. She said, continue. He pushed the document closer. The batch involved $48,000 in supposed welding training expenses. The archive contained an original attendance sheet showing 6 participants. The electronic packet submitted to the state showed 12. 6 names had been added. The final compliance review contained student signatures, Mateo, Vanessa, 3 others, and a 6th reviewer field, my name, except beside it was an access log. The account had been created. The login had occurred from Voss's building, but the certification itself had never been completed because I had sent Northgate notice, because Lena's preservation letter had arrived before they used my account again. The empty signature box might have been the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Bell tapped it. Do you know why your account was created? No. Did Professor Voss ever ask you to participate after you refused? No. Did you give anyone your credentials? No. Did you ever authorize access? No. He nodded, then he closed the folder. We believe Professor Voss's office created several student profiles before final onboarding. Why? We're still investigating. I knew efficiency control. Maybe they planned to assign work before students completed paperwork. Maybe they intended to use inactive accounts. Maybe both. As I left, Bell said, Ms. Bennett. I turned. You were right to document early. In my first life, no investigator had ever said anything like that. Outside, Nathan waited beside his car. He did not ask what happened. He opened the passenger door. I got in. Only after we had driven 2 blocks did I say, "They found my account." His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "But they never used the certification." He exhaled. "That's good." "Yes." I stared out the window, then I started crying. Nathan pulled into a parking lot. He waited. When I finally stopped, he said, "Are those relieved tears?" "I think so. Your emotional filing system is confusing." I laughed. Then my phone rang. Vanessa, she sounded terrified. "They told me I need to come in with my lawyer." "When?" "Tomorrow." "Okay." "Maya." "Yes." "They said I might not be only a witness." The title I remembered flashed through my mind. 27 students, criminal records. The future had changed, but not enough. Professor Voss asked to meet me on March 27. Lena told me not to. I listened. That was growth. Instead, Voss sent me a letter through his attorney. It was 6 pages long. I expected threats. I expected self-pity. I did not expect honesty, not complete honesty enough. Northgate began 9 years earlier as a small consulting project connecting local employers with workforce training programs. Voss was proud of it. The program placed students too, especially Hawthorne students without family connections. For several years, it worked. Then Northgate won a larger county contract. The company was not ready. A subcontractor failed. Training sessions were canceled. Northgate had already spent money based on expected reimbursements. If the county rejected the claims, Northgate would default on payroll. Voss authorized employees to reconstruct attendance records for sessions he believed had substantially occurred. That was the first false claim. It worked. The reimbursement arrived. Northgate survived. The next year he did it again. Then he began inflating participant numbers to cover administrative overruns. Then he created related subcontractors. Then came student reimbursement accounts. The scheme changed from survival to habit, from habit to profit. According to investigators, Voss personally earned hundreds of thousands of dollars through Northgate distributions over several years. His letter did not deny it. Instead, he wrote that he had convinced himself every expansion was temporary. He kept telling himself he would correct the records after the program stabilized. It never stabilized because fraud became the method of stabilization. I read the letter twice. Nathan sat across from me. "What are you feeling?" "I don't know." "Angry?" "Yes." "Sympathetic?" "I hate that word. That usually means yes." I put the letter down. He actually did help people. Nathan nodded. So nothing. I looked at him. "That's the problem. There is no so. Doing good did not purchase the right to commit fraud. Being desperate did not make every later choice desperate." Voss had crossed a line to save something he believed mattered. Then he kept walking. The university's role emerged next. Hawthorne had not known the full scheme, but senior administrators had received complaints about Northgate's unusually loose internship controls 2 years earlier. They required Voss to submit a corrective plan. He did. Nobody verified it. Why? Because Northgate produced results, high placement numbers, positive alumni stories, donor interest. Hawthorne had not ordered fraud. It had preferred not to inspect success too closely. Associate Provost Harrow resigned in April. No criminal charges. Administrative failure was not the same as conspiracy. That distinction frustrated students. It also reflected reality. Then prosecutors began dividing Northgate interns into categories: witnesses, cooperating subjects, potential defendants, men's. REA mattered. What had each student known? When did they know it? What did they sign afterward? Did they receive money? Did they transfer it? Did they personally create false records? 27 students remained exposed. Priya did not. She had quit before knowingly certifying false records and had never transferred funds. Vanessa was not so lucky. She called me after meeting with prosecutors. "I'm going to be charged." I sat down. "What?" "My lawyer says they're offering a misdemeanor." "Which one?" "False certification under the state grant statute." My eyes closed. The same class of offense I had pleaded to in my first life. "Are you taking it?" "I don't know." "She thinks I should." "Then listen to her." Vanessa laughed weakly. "You always say that now." I paid a lot for the lesson. She was quiet. "They'll recommend probation." "That matters." "My law school offers are gone." I had no answer. "I did this," she said. "Voss pressured you." "I still did it." "Yes." "I hate that you said yes." "I know." "Do you think I'm a criminal?" The question hurt. "I think you committed something that may be a crime." That is such a lawyer answer. I learned from Lena. No, she's nicer. I smiled despite myself. Vanessa cried. I let her. When the call ended, Nathan was standing in my doorway. He had heard enough. "She's taking a plea." "Probably." "You okay?" "No." He sat beside me. "I used to think you betrayed me," I said. "In the other life." "Yes." Because I testified, yes. What do you think? Now, I looked at him. That you were probably terrified, he nodded, and that you told the truth anyway. He waited. I'm sorry I made that unforgivable. Nathan looked at his hands. In this life I did hurt you before we broke up. I know. I was controlling. Sometimes. I thought because I worried about you I had more say. Yes, he looked at me. I'm sorry too. There it was, no dramatic music, no speech, just two people finally refusing to make one person entirely guilty. I reached for his hand, he held mine. On April 11th, arrest warrants were issued for Eric Lang and two Northgate managers. Voss surrendered through counsel. No cameras were supposed to be waiting. There were cameras anyway. By that afternoon, Hawthorne students were sharing the video. Professor Voss walked into the county courthouse wearing a gray suit. He looked older than he had in my first life. Or maybe I finally understood what I was seeing. The man who changed my life, the man who built scholarships, the man who trained us to stop asking what our signatures meant. A reporter shouted, Professor Voss, did you use your students to commit fraud? Voss did not answer. 20 minutes later, prosecutors announced that student cases would be handled individually. That sounded humane. It also meant 27 separate nightmares were about to begin. The first student charged was not Vanessa, it was Mateo. His lawyer called me because Mateo had listed me as someone who could confirm when he first expressed concerns. I did not want to be part of his case. I agreed anyway. Not because he was innocent, because context was true. 2. The charging document alleged that Mateo knowingly submitted false grant certifications and processed 2 fraudulent reimbursement transfers after learning the underlying attendance records were inaccurate. 1 count was a felony. His attorney believed prosecutors would reduce it. Still, seeing his name on a criminal docket made my stomach turn. In the first life I had seen my own, there was no dramatic feeling, mostly embarrassment. The strange intimacy of the government printing your full name beside a statute number. Within 10 days 26 more students had case numbers. Not all were arrested physically, many surrendered through attorneys, some received summonses. Charges varied: false certification, theft-related counts, conspiracy allegations for several team leaders. By the last week of April, the number was 27, exactly 27. I sat in my apartment staring at the list published by a local newspaper. Priya sat beside me. Don't count again. I'm not. You're counting. I know. 27, my title, my memory, my failure. Priya closed my laptop. I let her. That part is not your responsibility. I knew. You warned me. I didn't warn all of them. You tried, not enough. What would enough have looked like? I had no answer, standing in the classroom and screaming, sending anonymous emails telling everyone I was from the future. Even if they believed me, some might still have stayed. Mateo had, Vanessa had. Knowledge did not erase pressure, it also did not erase choice. Nathan arrived with dinner. He looked at my face. Bad day. 27. He understood immediately. He sat beside me. You cannot measure whether you did enough by the number of people who made different decisions. That sounds like something a therapist says. My mother says it. Your mother is terrifying. She likes you. She once asked to see my credit score. She likes responsibly. I laughed. It helped. My own investigator interview took place in early May. This time it was formal because Voss's defense team had suggested that several students acted independently. Lena came with me. Nathan drove me there. He waited outside. In my first life, Nathan had entered the building with me. I had demanded it. Then I resented how closely he watched every answer. This time, before getting out of the car, I said, "You can come in if you want." He looked at me. "Do you want me there?" I thought about it. No. Okay. Will you wait? Yes. That was love, not entering, not leaving. Waiting because I asked. The interview lasted 90 minutes. I provided the emails, the unauthorized account records, my conversations with Voss. I also explained that I had warned specific students. The investigator asked whether I believed Mateo understood his certifications were false. I wanted to protect him. I told the truth. Yes, the word hurt. When I gave the approximate date, Lena glanced at me. I continued. When I walked outside, Nathan was leaning against his car. He straightened. How bad? I told them about Mateo. Nathan nodded. He asked me to be a witness for him. You can be truthful and still be useful. I know. Knowing doesn't make it pleasant. No. He opened his arms slightly, not assuming, asking. I stepped into them. We had hugged before, not like that, no desperation, no attempt to fix anything. His coat smelled like laundry detergent and coffee. I cried against his shoulder for maybe 30 seconds. Then I stepped back. That was embarrassing. I have seen you throw up. After tequila. You swore never to mention that. I needed perspective. I hit his arm, he smiled. The criminal cases moved quickly because prosecutors wanted cooperation against Voss and Northgate management. Students with limited involvement received offers, misdemeanor pleas, deferred prosecution, diversion agreements that could later lead to dismissal or expungement, but even diversion created criminal case records until resolved. Background checks would show arrests or pending cases. Graduate schools asked disclosure questions, government internships vanished, the law could distinguish levels of guilt, life was less precise. Vanessa accepted a misdemeanor plea, 1 year of supervision, community service, restitution. Her attorney believed she could seek sealing later. She withdrew from law school admission. Mateo initially refused his offer. His lawyer asked me to meet him. We sat in a courthouse cafeteria. Mateo looked 10 years older. They want a misdemeanor if I cooperate, he said. That's better than the felony. I know. But my lawyer says I should take it. Then why aren't you? He stared at his coffee. Because the statement says I acted for financial gain. You did receive money. I sent it to my mother. That is still financial gain, his eyes flashed. You think that's the same as Voss buying a second house? No? Then why should I sign it? Because legal documents do not always contain the whole moral story. He laughed bitterly. Easy for you. There it was. Again, easy for you. This time I did not defend myself. You're right. He looked surprised. I got another chance you didn't get. What? Nothing. I leaned forward. You were pressured, you were exploited. You also knew some records were false and kept signing them. His jaw tightened. Both things are true. He looked away. I hate both things. So do I. A week later, Mateo accepted the reduced charge after prosecutors agreed to include language acknowledging that Voss used academic authority and financial incentives to pressure students. It did not erase his decision. It made the record more accurate. By graduation week, 27 Northgate students had criminal case records. 18 had accepted misdemeanor resolutions, 9 remained in diversion or pending negotiated cases. No student went to prison. Voss faced years. The headline that morning read, Hawthorne internship scandal leaves 27 students facing criminal consequences. I stared at it for a long time. Then I closed the browser. Graduation was in 3 days, and for the first time, I had no idea what happened next. Hawthorne did not cancel commencement. Universities are very good at continuing. The lawn was cut, white chairs appeared. Parents arrived carrying flowers. The bookstore sold sweatshirts. A banner hung across the student union. Congratulations. Class of 2027, 27 students had criminal cases. The campus still served brunch. That contrast bothered me until Priya said, What do you want them to do, burn the chairs? No. Then eat your waffle. I did. Vanessa almost skipped graduation. Her parents convinced her to come. I saw them outside the auditorium. Her father looked nothing like the wealthy businessman I had imagined for years. He wore an old suit and carried Vanessa's gown over one arm. Her mother hugged her constantly. Vanessa saw me. We stood awkwardly. Then she walked over. I heard you got the Wellington Fellowship. I had. A new committee reviewed my application after Voss's suspension. Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you, she smiled. I hate you a little. That seems healthy. She laughed, then her eyes filled. Do you think I ruined everything? I considered lying. No. She looked surprised. You ruined some things. Oh, I'm not going to tell you. Law school will forget. I know. But your life is bigger than law school. She looked down. Easy to say when you still get to go. There was no cruelty in it, only grief. You're right. She looked at me again. That's annoying. I'm practicing. She hugged me suddenly. I stood stiffly for 1 second, then hugged her back. We were not best friends again, maybe never. That was okay. Some reconciliation was not restoration. Mateo attended commencement too. His mother came. I knew her immediately because he looked exactly like her when he was worried. She hugged me before he could introduce us. Thank you for helping my son. Mateo looked miserable. I said. He helped himself too. That mattered. I would not become the hero of someone else's consequence. Before the ceremony, Nathan found me behind the economics building. He wore a suit. You look suspiciously employed, I said. I am employed. Tragic. He handed me a small envelope. What's this? Open later. No. Maya. I opened it. Inside was a photograph, the old football picture, me on his shoulders. On the back he had written, we were happy, we were also terrible. I'd like to try for happy without terrible, no rush. I stared at it. Nathan suddenly looked nervous. It delighted me. You rehearsed this? No. You absolutely did. Maybe. I looked at him. I love you. His expression changed. It was the first time either of us had said it since our breakup. I continued before fear could make the words dramatic. I love you. I also don't want to go back to what we were. Neither do I. I don't want you monitoring my life. Agreed. I don't want to hide things because I'm afraid you'll judge me. Also agreed. You are allowed to disagree with me. That's generous. Don't push it. He smiled, then he said, I love you too. Quietly, no applause, no audience, exactly right. We kissed once, slow, familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. Then Priya shouted from 50 feet away, if you two miss graduation after all this, I will kill you myself. Nathan rested his forehead against mine. I missed her. She never left. That explains it. Commencement lasted 2 hours. When my name was called, my mother screamed loudly enough that 3 rows turned around. I walked across the stage. For half a second, I remembered the first. Life, the same stage, the same dean, my criminal case already pending, the terror underneath my smile. This time, I accepted the diploma holder. I looked into the crowd, my mother, Priya, Nathan, Vanessa's family, Mateo's mother, lives overlapping without becoming simple. Afterward, Professor Voss's attorney contacted Lena. Voss wanted to see me before his plea hearing. Lena said I did not owe him anything. I knew. I went anyway, not alone. Lena sat outside the conference room. Voss wore no tie. He looked tired. Congratulations, he said. Thank you. I heard about Wellington. Yes. I'm glad. I almost laughed. You threatened that fellowship. I know. That stopped me. Voss folded his hands. I was angry. You were afraid. Yes. He looked at me. You knew something was wrong before the others. I did. How? I smiled faintly. You wouldn't believe me. Try? No. Some truths belong to me. He nodded. Fair enough. 27 students. I said. His face changed. I know. You used us. Yes. No. Qualification. It was the first time I had heard him say it. You also helped us. Yes. That doesn't cancel it. No. I looked at him. Why did you keep going? He was quiet for a long time. Because the first time I lied, the program survived. I waited. And everyone praised the result. There it was. Then, I became very good at believing outcomes made methods temporary. Did you believe that when you bought the lake house? His face tightened. No. I appreciated that answer more than excuses. At some point, he said, I knew what I had become. Why not stop? Because stopping meant admitting the earlier years were not noble mistakes. He looked down. It meant they were crimes. I understood more than I wanted to. Sometimes people continued wrongdoing because the next bad act postponed judgment on the last one. You told me once that I understood more than I admitted, I said. He looked confused. Not in this life. I smiled sadly. He did not ask. I think you were right. I continued. That doesn't mean what happened was my fault. No. But I knew enough eventually. Yes. So did they. He closed his eyes. Yes. When I stood to leave, Voss said, Maya. I turned. I am sorry. I had imagined those words for 6 years. They did not heal anything. They still mattered. I believe you, I said. That was all. I did not forgive him that day. He did not ask me to. Outside, Nathan was waiting beside the elevators. I walked toward him. How was it? He asked. Sad? Useful? Maybe. He nodded, then he held out his hand. I took it. For once, neither of us needed to know what happened after that. Professor Malcolm Voss pleaded guilty that summer to multiple felony counts connected to the Northgate fraud. He received a prison sentence, not the maximum prosecutors requested, more than his attorney wanted. Eric Lang pleaded guilty too. Northgate Civic Solutions dissolved. Hawthorne created new controls for external internships. The university published a long report using words like oversight, failure, and insufficient safeguards. Nobody wrote. We liked the results, so we did not ask enough questions. Maybe institutions were no better than people at writing honest autobiographies. Vanessa completed her supervision. She worked for a small nonprofit helping tenants apply for emergency assistance. At first she hated the job. Then she admitted she was good at it. Law school remained uncertain. One evening, almost a year after graduation, she called me. My record may be sealable next year. That's good. I still want to be a lawyer. Then apply when you're ready. What if they reject me? Some will. She sighed. You are terrible at encouragement. You want encouragement or accuracy? Encouragement. You'll be amazing. That sounded fake. It was. She laughed. We had become friends again, different friends, less possessive, more honest. Mateo's path was harder. His misdemeanor remained visible during his supervision period. He lost a job offer. Another company hired him in operations 6 months later after he disclosed Everything. His mother kept the apartment. When he told me that, I cried. Not because it justified anything, because life rarely respected our desire for clean moral accounting. The money that helped keep her housed came from a job built around fraud. The harm and the good were tangled. That did not make them equal. It made them real. Priya graduated without criminal exposure. Her Hastings recommendation was restored after Hawthorne's retaliation review. She entered a public administration master's program in Wisconsin. She still carried emergency snacks everywhere. Some things should survive rebirth. Nathan and I did not move in together immediately. That surprised everyone, especially Priya. You have already emotionally divorced twice, she said. Why are you dating like normal people? Because we are trying something revolutionary. What? Not making every decision while panicking. She considered that. Sounds boring. It was beautifully boring. Nathan and I had dinner twice a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. He learned to ask whether I wanted advice. I learned to answer honestly. When I started the Wellington graduate program, I became overwhelmed during my first semester. My instinct was to hide it. One night Nathan asked why I had stopped answering messages before 9. Busy? I said. He looked at me. That face. What face? The one you told me to tell you about. I remembered. The face I made before doing something I had already decided was justified. I sat down. I think I'm failing statistics. He blinked. You? Yes. You tutor people in statistics. Apparently fraud trauma did not improve multilevel modeling. That seems unfair. I laughed, then I said, I need help. He did not become triumphant. That mattered. What kind? Can you sit with me while I email the professor? That I can do. So he sat beside me. He did not write the email. He did not tell me what to say. He was simply there. That was how we rebuilt, not with promises, with boring repetitions of better choices. I visited Voss once after sentencing, not in prison. He was transferred to a minimum security federal facility later because part of the case involved federal program funds, but the legal structure was complicated and most student charges remained state level. I did not become someone who wrote him letters. I did not need a relationship with him before his transfer. There was a final restitution hearing. I attended because Vanessa asked me to. Voss saw us in the courtroom. He did not wave, neither did we. Afterward, Vanessa stood on the courthouse steps. I still miss him. I know. I hate that. You don't have to. He ruined my life. He changed it. She looked at me. That sounds nicer. I didn't mean it nicely. She laughed, then cried. I put my arm around her. Sometimes grief was not proof that someone deserved your loyalty. It was proof they had once mattered. That was allowed. The part that took me longest to forgive was myself. In the first life, I spent years telling the story in simple sentences. Voss manipulated me. Nathan betrayed me. Vanessa competed with me. I made one mistake. Simple stories were easier to survive. They were also incomplete. Professor Voss manipulated me. He was still a mentor I loved. Nathan hurt me. He also told the truth when lying would have protected me. Vanessa envied me. I envied her too. I was exploited. I also signed documents after I should have stopped. None of those truths canceled another. That was what adulthood seemed to be in the end, not discovering who was completely good, discovering that almost nobody was. A year after graduation, my criminal record from the first life existed nowhere except inside me. Sometimes I wondered what happened to the version of the world I left. Did that Maya simply disappear? Did Nathan in that life ever know I stopped hating him? Did Priya eventually forgive herself? Did Mateo rebuild? I would never know. Nathan once asked whether thinking about it made me sad. Yes. Do you wish you could go back? No. That answer came easily. I did not want another correction. I did not want endless lives until everyone made perfect choices. A life like that would turn people into puzzles. We were not puzzles, we were people. One Sunday morning, Nathan burned pancakes in my apartment. He blamed the stove. The stove had never burned anything for me. You're terrible at this, I said. I investigate fraud. You cannot investigate breakfast. I can tell someone committed a crime here. You? Allegedly. I sat at the kitchen counter with coffee. Rain tapped against the window. For one strange second, I remembered the apartment I had lived in at 27, the night before I woke here, the petition approving the sealing of my record, the glass of wine, that old exhausted relief. I did not hate that woman anymore. She had survived long enough for me to become someone else. Nathan put a plate in front of me. The pancake was nearly black. I stared. This is abusive. You said honesty matters. That is not how cooking works. He laughed, then he leaned against the counter. Maya. What? Are you happy? Once I would have searched for the correct answer. Was I successful enough, safe enough, forgiven enough? Now I looked around. Cheap apartment, burned breakfast, graduate school books stacked beside the couch. A man I loved who had hurt me once and would probably hurt me again someday without meaning to. Friends whose lives did not turn out the way they planned. A professor I could understand without absolving 27 students carrying consequences of different sizes, one life that was better but not clean. Yes, I said. Nathan smiled. Good. That's all. What else do you want? I don't know, something romantic, he thought. Then he pushed the less burned pancake toward me. You can have mine. I looked at it. That is romantic. I know. I took his hand across the counter. In my first life, I thought a second chance meant erasing the worst thing that ever happened to me. I was wrong. The past I remembered was still part of me, so were the people I had blamed, so were the choices I regretted. A second chance did not make any of us innocent. It only gave me another opportunity to decide what I would do once I knew better. This time, I refused the internship. Vanessa did not refuse soon enough. Mateo stayed much longer. 27 students still entered graduation week with criminal records attached to their names. Professor Voss still lost his freedom. Nobody escaped without losing something, but loss was not the same thing as an ending. Vanessa kept her ambition, Mateo kept his family, Priya kept her ridiculous emergency snacks, Nathan and I kept each other differently, and I kept the one thing I had spent my first life trying to recover, not innocence, not revenge, my ability to look at the truth without needing it to make me the hero. Nathan squeezed my hand. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, breakfast was terrible. I ate it anyway. And for the first time in either of my lives, ordinary felt like enough.